Important alert. Your bedroom is not safe inside there. My child, the night arrived like a closed fist, and the house learned a new silence. Air pressed against the windows as if it carried a secret it refused to drop. Your bedroom breathed a hush that did not feel like rest. The door stood straight, but the shadow along its edge tilted like a crooked smile. Floorboards remembered steps that no one admitted taking. A faint trace of cold clung to the curtains as if a stranger had exhaled there. Under the bed, the dark felt heavier than the rest of the room. Something had been set down and pulled away, leaving a stubborn absence. Dust kept a quiet map of movements that did not belong to you. The mirror watched the room and offered no reflection of comfort. A narrow smear curved along the glass like a finger had tested where you would stand. The wardrobe door sat 1 inch open like a held breath refusing release. The pillow knew a new weight that did not come from sleep. Threads along the case felt strained, like someone had pinched and twisted the corner. You sensed a pattern, the kind that builds like thunder before a storm. A hairpin rested on the floor, thin and out of place. You never wore hairpins, and yet this one rested like a signature. It glinted with the confidence of someone who wanted to be remembered. The window latch bore a new scratch along its metal lip. The mark ran clean, bright, and fresh, like a line drawn through a promise. Outside, the night held its breath and the hedge leaned closer than yesterday. Blessing 333. Protection gathers at your threshold like light at dawn. May your room be sealed in calm, and your sleep be defended without fear. The bedsheet carried a crease shaped like a knee pressed down and lifted. The mattress returned to level, but the memory remained like a bruise in the fabric. You felt the outline of an intention that should never have entered. On the bedside table, the lamp angle had changed by 1 stubborn degree. The chain wore a new kink as if a hand had tugged and paused. The bulb seemed reluctant to glow as bright as it did last week. A faint scent of metal lingered near the headboard. The kind of smell left by tools rather than jewelry or perfume. It hung low and thin, as if carried in by a pocket and left behind. The bookshelf gave away a truth with a single misaligned spine. A book you never touched moved half an inch forward, like a mouth trying to speak. Its page edges wore a small oil print, the size of a thumb not your own. The carpet near the door told a story in shorter fibers. A straight path thinned between the handle and the bed. You could draw a line from curiosity to intent without lifting the chalk. Your phone lay quiet but a shadow of warmth lived beneath it. A second of pressure had lingered there after a touch you never gave. Screen grease changed its pattern like a map redrawn by an unseen traveler. A pale speck of paint flaked off the closet edge. Edges do not surrender chips unless they are nudged by certainty. The speck felt like a dropped coin in a room that once carried only bills. The ceiling corner learned a new darkness that did not match the rest. A thin thread trailed down, almost invisible, like a thought escaping the mind that birthed it. It looked harmless the way a fuse looks harmless before a match meets it. In the laundry basket, a shirt you folded faced the wrong direction. Sleeves crossed over chest like arms bracing for news. The scent of fabric softener had been thinned by air not belonging to the hull. A faint divot marked the rug near the curtain hem. It matched the weight of a knee, the apology of stealth. The weave remembered pressure the way skin remembers fingerprints. Blessing 444. Peace stands at your window like a soldier without sleep. Every scheme melts like frost under noonlight, and your bed returns to safety. The bedside drawer did not shut with its old soft sigh. Wood whispered differently, like something thin kept it from closing clean. Inside, the velvet tray carried a new scuff shaped like a hurried search. Keys on the dresser sat farther apart, like a thought that split in two. The key ring carried a hair caught under the metal circle. That hair did not match your length, your shade, your life. The curtain rod wore a single fingerprint in dust. The print curved inward like a fishhook made of oil. Smudged lines showed the exact height of a person who stood where you stand now. Behind the headboard, a small rectangle of air vibrated thinner than the rest. A low audibility hummed like a moth beating the idea of an exit. The wall felt warmer at one point than at another, like a secret had been taped there. The mattress seam on the right side rose by a millimeter. Someone slipped something thin beneath it and believed that ghosts never measure. Your hand hovered where the proof lay like a magnet over its vein. The nightstand coaster bore the faint ring of a glass you never poured. Condensation ghosted a shape that matched the mouth of a stranger. The water had dried, but the circle held the memory like a brand. Your shoes turned their gaze toward the door instead of the wall. Laces angled like arrows pointing away from comfort. Leather creased with the story of a step someone rehearsed and cancelled. The small rug under the window carried two pressure blossoms. One near the middle, another near the edge, as if weight moved in stages. The distance between the blooms matched the length of a single bold stride. The closet safe looked untouched but felt lighter inside. Paper shifts in silence when a hand has learned its hiding place. The envelope corner no longer aligned with the box wall. The bathroom door gave a shy squeak that never spoke before. Hinges confess when patience wears thin. A thin hairline scratch circled the knob like a whispering ring. Blessing 555. Security enters this room like sunrise enters a locked chapel. No trespass holds, no plan survives, and your breath returns to ease. Your pillowcase seam carried a new pucker. Someone tested the corner for softness and measured your trust. Sleep sat at the edge and refused to lie down. A single grain of gravel hid near the baseboard by the door. Shoes from outside carry small worlds into rooms guarded by routine. The grain lodged like a tiny confession waiting for a listener. The power outlet near the bedside wore a newness at its screws. Shine ringed the head where the metal met paint. Work was done by fingers that do not belong to you. The lamp cord formed a fresh angle just shy of the plug. Tightness in plastic records a memory like a scar. The bend pointed toward the exact place a foot would crouch to listen. A corner of the mattress protector rose like a lifted nail. Elastic curled slightly, as if returned to place by a hand that guessed instead of knew. Fabric held the shape of an interruption. Under the bed slats, a glow once flickered and stopped. It felt like a pilot light that never belonged to a lamp. The dust along the plank showed a short, bright trail. The same trail ended at a strip of tape that hugged wood. Tape sat flush with the confidence of practiced pressure. A second strip lay parallel, like quotation marks around a whispered plan. The air at the pillow smelled briefly of citrus and coins. Citrus hides nerves, coins hide tools, and together they write the same sentence. That sentence used your name without permission. The chair near the dresser shifted its footprint by half a shoe. One leg carried a pinch of dirt finer than your rugs allow. Someone sat, waited, and watched the shape of your room. Near the ceiling, a small dot barely wider than a seed cast a patient blink. The blink timed itself with the rhythm of a tiny machine. Its patience did not match the innocence of paint. A laundry button rolled beneath the radiator. This button did not match your shirts or your stories. It lay there like a lighthouse with its light turned inward. Your jewelry dish held a second shadow beneath your bracelet. Metal edges carried a soft scar rubbed by unfamiliar skin. The clasp felt looser than last week, like a trust stretched thin. At the center of the rug, a faint spiral appeared where no one dances. Fibers turned as if guided by a heel that never steps lightly. The spiral looked like a decision practiced in slow motion. The old photograph on the dresser leaned at a new angle. Smiles inside tilted like they were trying to leave the frame. The glass caught a thin hair that draped across the border. A whisper of graphite smudged the wall near the doorframe. It looked like the rest of a mark partially rubbed away. The remainder curved into the start of a symbol no one taught you. A small adhesive dot clung beneath the bed frame. Barely thick enough to notice, it waited like a secret buckled into silence. Its center held a tiny hole like a mouth that only receives. The curtain tie bore a fray where a ring must have tugged. Fabric fibers separated in a sunburst smaller than a coin. The tie felt sore under the touch, as if scolded by haste. The charger wire coiled tighter than you ever wrap it. Memory in cable rubber tells the truth of unfamiliar hands. The connector wore a soft polish from skin that is not yours. The frame around the light switch carried a new hairline lift. Paint arched away like a wave tugged by the moon. Beneath the lift, a tiny ridge hinted at plastic added then pressed flat. The laundry hamper lid refused to settle completely. Something thin rested along its rim like a promise not yet delivered. Weight shifted inside that did not match the cloth you placed there. The doormat on the other side of the bedroom door shifted its grain. Bristles bent as if a heel twisted slowly while listening. A single misplaced thread from a coat sleeve slept against the jamb. The faintest beep once sighed from beneath the bed and died. Small machines breathe like that when batteries grow tired. Silence afterward felt heavier than noise. A corner of the wallpaper lifted by the headboard. Underneath, adhesive puckered like it had been peeled and reset. Someone believed their second attempt would go unnoticed. A nail head near the curtain rod gleamed with a fresh circle. Metal brightens when a tool turns faith into leverage. The new shine read like a dated confession stamped in steel. A strand of synthetic fiber clung to the bedskirt hem. Its color lived between black and midnight, a shade your clothes do not wear. It curled as if pulled loose from a mask or a glove. The floor caught the smell of an instant coffee that never brewed in your kitchen. It hovered thin and mean, the kind favored by watchers, not guests. The scent faded, but its shape stayed behind like a silhouette on a closed curtain. The bedside book had a page corner lifted 4 chapters ahead. Your place never moves without your hands. Someone skimmed a future they did not earn. The nightbird outside perched with unfamiliar calm on your sill. Birds learn new landings when a light behind glass attracts them. Something glowed and asked to be noticed, and the bird answered without judgment. The closet rail squeaked once when the house had nothing to say. Hangers knock when they learn a stranger's rhythm. A satin shoulder bent where your cotton would never bend. The radiator hissed a syllable out of season. Metal speaks under hands that demand quiet too quickly. The hiss stretched the length of a single held breath. The rug edge near the foot of the bed folded in a clean triangle. Patterns never fold themselves. The crease felt freshly ironed by a knee that pushed in and reversed course. The notebook on your desk showed a pressure bruise 2 pages deep. The imprint looked like a name written and pressed hard. The letters refused to read themselves, but the groove spelled intention. Near the window, the latch catch bore a new microscopic dip. Metal only learns that shape from a tool that bites. The bite sat at the exact place where leverage becomes entry. The underside of the window sill wore a crescent of grit. Grit visits in the treads of shoes that do not belong to you. The crescent sat like a moon that rose inside your house. The bed frame center beam carried a thumb smudge of unfamiliar oil. Skin leaves marks where patience makes a home. This mark settled where someone steadied their weight while reaching. The bedside clock dropped 2 minutes and then remembered them. Time tries to hide when magnets pass and notes get stolen. The display flickered with the shiver of a plan not yet finished. The air vent slat tilted 1 notch lower than the rest. A fingertip has the strength for that and the urge to listen. A whisper quieter than dust breathed from inside and then stopped. The last drawer of the dresser grumbled in a new voice. Wood complains when hurried hands break its routine. The pole wore a new chill, the kind of cold that keeps its coat on. You see the map now, drawn 1 faint line at a time. The room taught you its new alphabet letter by letter. Every letter spelled the same name for danger. You tighten your edges like a drum that refuses to ring for anyone else. You gather the proof you can gather and let the rest speak through the floor. You stand in the doorway and understand the design. You trace each mark and assign it to a pair of hands that never belonged here. You hold your breath and let your pulse do the counting that the clock once did. Your room answers with a stillness that means wakefulness, not peace. The night bends outside like a bow pulled and held. Inside, you set down a line that no one crosses and no one blurs. You listen the way a lighthouse listens for fog. You move the bed 3 inches and find the sliver that hums without music. You peel the tape with a deliberate grace that belongs to owners, not trespassers. The device wakes for a final blink and forgets how to blink again. You follow the thread along the baseboard and lift another pearl of plastic. It gives like a small lie under steady truth. The room exhales a tone that sounds like a promise kept. You collect the hairpin, the fiber, the speck, the chip of paint. You place them in a small bag as if you are returning borrowed time. The bag feels heavier than its items would suggest. You set your phone to remember light and shadow without mercy. It watches the threshold the way the ocean watches the shore. The lens learns to love evidence and nothing else. You reset the books so that their spines stand like soldiers in a perfect line. You close the drawer so the wood sings its correct note again. You wipe the mirror with a square that leaves no streaks, no fingerprints, no doubt. You seal the window latch with a kiss of tape a stranger will never see. You slide the chair's foot back into its original print. You smooth the rug until its spiral forgets its turn. The room returns to shape the way a face returns to calm after tears. Silence shifts from warning into watchfulness. The bed becomes a shore that knows the tide but refuses the flood. The doorframe straightens under your palm like a loyal spine. The handle rests in your grip, familiar and honest. You bless the knob with a calm that grows stronger than fear. And when the night tries one last time to lean in, it leans against glass that does not move. Your room wears a new armor that fits like skin. Sleep returns to you like a loyal dog finally called by name. The door stayed closed, but silence pressed harder against it than before. The air inside your room no longer carried the stillness of a home, it carried the tension of a secret watching you. Every object waited as though it had already been touched and was waiting to be touched again. The bed no longer invited sleep, it stood like a stage prepared for a performance you never planned. Sheets lay too perfect, too arranged, like they had been rehearsed instead of used. Even the pillow seemed to hold an impression of a head you did not remember resting there. The mirror across the wall tilted just slightly, enough to catch what it should not. A faint light pulsed once across its surface, as if answering something beyond your control. It no longer reflected only you, it reflected possibility, danger, and proof. The silence deepened when you moved, as if the room was learning your rhythm. Each step you took revealed how carefully another had been here before you. The walls listened, and the floor remembered, leaving you caught in a space that no longer belonged fully to you. Blessing 666. May every hidden shadow lose its voice, and may every secret crumble before your truth. Your bedroom will know safety, and no hand of darkness will rule over you. The dresser carried fingerprints that no polish had placed there. They lived in a pattern, circling one knob and tracing another, a dance of curiosity and control. What they sought inside was not clear, but their intention left a stain stronger than dust. Your window creaked softly, though there was no wind. The latch leaned against the frame like a secret trying to loosen itself. The glass caught a smudge, a palm-sized mark too fresh to be blamed on time. The lamp burned weaker, its light refusing to reach the far corner. Shadows bloomed stronger where safety should have been. You knew then that darkness was not just absence, but presence. On the floor near the closet, a faint indentation marked where weight once pressed. It told of knees bent low, a crouch not yours, a silence that had crouched before you knew. Even the carpet fibers carried the truth of an intruder's patience. The night pressed deeper into the room, but this time its weight felt different. Not the weight of trespass, not the weight of intrusion, but the weight of something finally contained. Your space had shifted, but now it shifted back toward you. The floor rested beneath your feet as though relieved. Every creak that once betrayed another presence grew still. It no longer whispered of strangers, it hummed with your own rhythm. The curtains stood sealed, their seam straight and loyal. No draft played tricks, no unseen eye waited beyond the glass. They became a shield, thin but absolute. The walls that had carried echoes of unwelcome patience steadied themselves. Their silence now spoke not of secrets, but of calm. The house remembered its duty, to keep you, and nothing else. Blessing 777. Every watchful spirit of harm dissolves. Every corner of your bedroom bends only to peace. No plan formed in darkness can remain where your light has chosen to stand. The drawer that once hid evidence now closed with pride. Its wooden breath belonged to you again, clean and final. The bag of proof lay still, like a buried heart that would never wake. Your bed, once foreign, softened back into belonging. The mattress recognized only your weight, your presence. It exhaled into the shape of rest without protest. The clock marched steady again, digits glowing faithful. It told time the way time was meant to be told, honest, even. No missing minutes, no tricks, only progress. The mirror finally surrendered its rebellion. It offered you only yourself, nothing more, nothing less. Glass no longer carried the tremor of borrowed eyes. The chair by the window had loosened. Its legs no longer pressed with another weight. It became furniture again, not witness. Your phone screen pulsed with your own warmth. No phantom trace lingered on its glass. The glow spoke of familiarity, not trespass. The rug underfoot released its spiral. Threads rose upright, freed from the memory of pressure. It spread flat, loyal, uncomplicated. The ceiling corner blinked no more. Paint became only paint again, unremarkable, still. No hidden pulse throbbed inside its pale skin. The safe inside the closet rested heavy once more. Papers within lay untouched, corners unbent. It promised you its silence and meant it. The night outside accepted its distance. No hedge leaned in, no bird lingered unnaturally. The world respected the glass boundary once more. The air no longer carried the thin taste of metal. It softened back into warmth, fabric and cedar. Breath flowed steady, quiet, owned. You sat at the edge of the bed and listened. The house returned its oath to you with stillness. Every wall, every hinge, every seam agreed. The danger had been real. The evidence had been found. But you had reclaimed the ground of your own sleep. Blessing 888. Peace anchors itself now into every board and beam. No unseen watcher has power here. This is your room, your sanctuary, your shield. The night continued to hold its breath outside your window. But inside, something had changed, the weight of intrusion had dissolved, leaving behind a sharpened awareness. Every wall now leaned toward you, guarding instead of betraying. The bed carried no trace of the hidden pressure it once bore. It embraced your body with honesty, every seam lying smooth and still. Sleep did not feel like a trap anymore, but like a sanctuary renewed. The air whispered softer now, free of that faint metallic taste. No hidden hum followed your breathing. The room exhaled peace in rhythm with your chest. The curtain swayed faintly as if agreeing with the night's retreat. No shadow clung, no hand reached. They became only fabric again, defenders at rest. Blessing 999. All traces of danger are scattered like dust in wind. Your bedroom now breathes as a fortress of light. Every inch bends to your safety, to your rest, to your peace. The dresser closed itself with dignity, each drawer proud in its station. No fingerprints lingered, no stains of intrusion. Only your belongings remained, folded in their rightful order. The photograph on the desk shone brighter under the lamp. Faces inside smiled without tilt, no longer blurred by foreign touch. Memory itself felt restored, unbroken. The vent carried nothing but the warmth of your home. No whisper, no hum, no waiting. Only clean air flowed like a soft hymn. Your phone glowed steady, free from alien heat. Its screen, once foreign, now answered only to your hand. The light it gave was loyal, not borrowed. The clock ticked honestly, red digits marching without falter. No time lost, no time stolen. It counted your night faithfully, second by second. The safe behind the closet stood firm. Papers lay heavy, untouched, promising their truth only to you. The weight of certainty filled the air. The mirror gave you back to yourself again. It reflected no shadow but your own. Its glass spoke the truth it was meant to hold. Blessing 11:11. Peace is carved into this space like stone. No hand of harm can pass the threshold. Every inch of this room has sworn loyalty to your rest. The rug underfoot spread flat, loyal as the ground itself. No spiral remained, no mark of a crouched stranger. Only stillness, only belonging. The window's glass stood cold but clean. No smudge, no mark, no pulse. It separated night from home with honesty. The chair in the corner sat upright, harmless. Its cushion no longer carried the weight of another. It waited only for you, silent and empty. The notebook on the desk held still. No ghost of pressure spoke beyond its second page. It was yours again, pure, ready. The bag of proof slept quietly in the drawer. Its weight reminded you not of fear, but of strength. It testified that you had seen and understood. The doorframe hummed with warmth from your palm. It carried your print, your claim, your ownership. It no longer bore the scars of tampering. The house settled finally into its bones. No floorboard betrayed a memory. Everything stood still, everything stood faithful.